And we want to make this correlation what we are calling our kingdom spouse correlation. And one of the things that I when I was preparing this podcast for today for the material, I wrote this thing down. So when I said, when looking for a partner through dating, it's important to recognize signs God is trying to give you when he is pointing someone out to you. The reason why people hesitate to believe in kingdom purpose towards their future marriage is because purpose demands responsibility. This responsibility demands that we make choices when facing the unknown. However, many people are unwilling to face this responsibility and usually settle for a counterfeit relationship or a relationship that is based on convenience or fleeting attractions. Whenever you're ready, you can just start recording.
Oh, it's been recording.
Oh, it has been?
Yeah.
Oh, has it really?
We're just...
Oh,
yeah.
Sweet.
Yeah,
okay. And Mark, no, you have to edit that out. Actually, okay. So, just one last thing. So I have you doing another time segment of you punching a stuffed animal.
For why?
because like, when you're talking about like your
beat
funny
the crap
pretend
out of some
problems.
teddy bear
No,
or something?
but no, your funny pretend problems where you have these funny pretend anger issues and you take it out on a stuffed animal.
Jeez. All right.
And then no, this last one. I need to tell you this one.
Ryan.
You
can tell me after the hour.
This though. Okay, we need to do a not sponsored for dude wipes.
Oh my. Okay. All right. Let's get it. Okay.
Oh, sorry. Okay. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Guys Gone Bio. My name is Ryan. This is
Russ.
And we're here. I don't know. What do we want to talk about first? We kind of work. So we have this. Russell and I, by the way, have known each other for years. Yep. Let's see. When did I first meet you? Like 2013.
2015. I think it was because you and Hayden were doing the game nights.
Oh yeah.
So and I started going to those. So
yeah. Okay, so that's Russell and I have known each other for a very long time, and we've been recording for at least almost a decade now, actually.
Yeah, just about.
Yeah, and so for those of you that don't know, we're gonna get into our topic of here, and we're just gonna this is actually our very first episode, so
yeah,
this is many months in the making, and we are excited to be here today. And for those of you that don't know us. Yes, as the name implies, we are Guys Gone Bible. We are a podcast where we explore and discuss various passages of the Bible. And what we want to do here is we also want to teach Bible. Like, we don't want to just talk about how, we'll read a few scriptures, but then we'll just go straight to the application. So what we want to do is we want to really explore a topic and not just talk, as far as like when you're trying to learn something, how when, let's say you're relating to depression or something.
Right.
And then maybe you pull up certain scriptures where, the scripture, casting all your cares before the Lord, how to take care of depression. And, we will go into discussions about things like historical context, the genre of the Bible, who the author was, what was going on at the time, things like that. So we want to really teach more Bible here. But we are still going to also, relate it to how we can live our lives, and that's what we do. And that's what we're here for. So, but Russell and I, let's see. Okay, so I met you in,
2015.
2015. So originally... so when we first started recording, I think that was and when I mean recording, I mean video game recording. We did all kinds of games. We did.
Oh yeah,
we based it around Halo Reach.
Right.
If you're familiar with that game for Xbox 360, so that was a lot of fun. But we had this whole channel. We called it Halo Game Night. We'll post a link in the description. Actually, I think that would be great. And so we did. That was
our last video was 5 years ago.
So we did that for however many years. and then we also still record together, and here we are. We're still
Right.
recording together.
Right.
Now, I had other co-host that I was originally going to go with. He will join us for another recording. Unfortunately, his name is Jarrett, and he will not always be able to make it. But when he does, he has a lot to say because he's also a single dad. But he has a lot of experiences with that as well.
Right.
But he's also, when it comes to jokes, he has all the same kind of sense of humor as I do.
Right.
Like when we talk about Sanjay from the gas station, I have this whole like line of voices that I do for like Indians, British people, jokes like with, just all the kinds of stuff that
Right.
you and I have been doing, like all these running jokes about how he wears an invisible turban always, not according to anybody else, just me. Even I can't see his invisible turban, but I know it's there.
It's
and
not there.
No matter what he does, he can't.
There's no invisible turban.
See, he can't take off
I'm
an
just
invisible
bald.
turban that doesn't literally exist. But in my mind, it exists perpetually, like forever. Like you.
Oh my gosh.
Dude, but anyway, so we're gonna get into our main topic.
Right.
Now let me see here. Oh, by the way, first thing is one of the other things that we also want to talk about is food suggestions. So now when it comes to food suggestions, I'm not talking about food suggestions that are literally like they're not even that special. Like a good food suggestion would be like sushi or something or whatever variety of food. But our food suggestions are stuff like when we made a peanut butter and jelly Pop-Tart.
Or dish soap on a waffle.
And so today's food suggestion is our peanut butter and jelly Pop-Tart, and we actually have a picture of it too. So that picture will be on the screen somewhere.
Right.
Yeah, but that's something that we made, and then let's see, I don't know what other kind of other funny like jokes that we do. Like different kinds of memes that we saw. Or maybe like different people that you've seen at Walmart. I don't know.
I mean, in my experience of doing security at Walmart, I mean,
by the way,
I've seen quite a bit of being a security guard.
So Russell, we have this also. Russell is part Indian, and
yes, I'm half Indian.
He absolutely hates chicken curry, any Indian food.
I don't like Indian food because my dad made me eat it so much growing up on the weekends that I was with him. So I kind of grew to hate it.
Oh, yeah.
But now, I mean, I still don't like Indian food.
Okay.
I mean, like I can handle certain dishes. Like tikka masala, that's fine. Anything else outside of that, not really. But So Russell and I have these running jokes with him that I do about how he likes chicken curry anyways. And like anything I eat is chicken curry.
Yeah, and I make these jokes like how I make his version of his chicken curry is whatever else he's actually eating at the time. It could be maybe a peanut butter and jelly Pop-Tart. It could, or maybe it's an orange. Who knows what it is? But
and it's always chicken curry to you.
But it's always going to be.
And no matter where I shop too, it's the gas station. And what's even funnier is my dad worked for 7-Eleven growing up.
No, he has worked not only. Okay,
I've also worked in two gas stations.
Worked at
but
two
I've never
gas
but I've never worked at a 7-Eleven. That's my saving grace.
Oh.
I've never worked at a 7-Eleven.
So we have this line of character that we do. That we came up with in our original recordings is we had this character.
We should probably get on topic.
But this is funny though. Okay, so we have this character about Sanji, the stereotypical works at a gas station. He has the accent, wearing a turban. The gentleman that's there at the front desk. Well, I have these jokes with Russell that I've been making with him for years. And he's literally worked at 2 gas stations.
Yep. Two different gas stations.
Was it one in Wyoming and then the other one was in
No, they
Bremerton?
were both they were both up, like, both here, I believe. Yeah,
okay.
Both here. One was in, like, Artendale, and then the other was in, like, Buckley.
Mm-hmm.
So, very remote gas stations.
Oh, yeah, but that's still funny though. Like, but okay, so anyway, so yeah, that's one of the running jokes that we've had for years, and we have all kinds of other jokes like that, and you'll have to find out later what that is. It could be literally anything that happens, but more importantly, one of the very first things that we always want to say when we come on here is about, no matter what the topic is, whatever we're talking about, it could be, today it's about dating and relationships and marriage, but the main topic is about the gospel. 1 Corinthians 3, this is the gospel. For what I perceived, I passed on to you as of first importance, that Christ died for our sins according to the scriptures, that he was buried, that he was raised on the third day according to the scriptures. So that right there, the reason why we're here, and if you have not come to a saving knowledge of Jesus Christ as your personal Lord and Savior, this is the gospel. Jesus died for your sins so that you could have eternity with him forever. So that is what we are all about here. And so now going on to our next main thing. Are you craving a delicious hot pizza that won't break the bank? This video is not sponsored by Little Caesars. Little Caesars pizza are made with fresh ingredients and baked to perfection, ensuring every bite is bursting with flavor. Whether you're feeding a family or just treating yourself, our unbeatable prices and convenient carryout options make it easy to enjoy a satisfying meal without the hassle. Plus, with their crazy bread and dipping sauces, your pizza experience is elevated to a whole new level. There's no discount quota or anything. You still have to pay a full price. But if you go there, tell them that Guys Gone Bible sent you. The front desk person may look at you sideways, but at least this will be funny for us if you did that. Choose Little Caesars for your next pizza night and taste the difference for yourself. So what we want to do next is we want to talk about, now in dating in relationships, we don't want to just talk about, like, we're not here to talk about how you can have a great marriage. What we're talking about more along the lines of when finding a partner for marriage, and whatever you do else after that is a different topic. We're just here to talk about when finding a partner, when you're going through dating and you're meeting people, and some of the what we are calling factors. Now, there are more factors that can be considered in our discussion, but for the sake of discussion, and for sake of time, we have limited it down to 4 factors. So the first factor is we want to talk about how, by the way, we forgot to talk about testimonies. Remember?
Right.
Just do like a brief, like 5, like I would say like maybe 3 to 4 minute.
So for me, I found God at a very young age because of my grandmother. Mm-hmm. And I'd been going to various churches from the time I was 6 to now, really. Mm-hmm. Right now, I'm not attending church just because my work schedule does not allow for it. But I try to attend online services as much as possible.
Mm-hmm. Okay, and then like where would you say, like, because I met you in
2015.
2015. So yeah, at the time, so we had another previous church that we used to go to.
Yep.
But we've been knowing each other for all these years. Still been recording. Still been able to do everything we're doing now.
Yep.
Okay. So, and then let's see. How old are you?
I am 25.
25. So you were born
99.
99. Okay. And then okay. So as you're growing up and you became a believer, let's see, what age would you say?
Probably about 6 or 7.
Okay.
And I didn't have a full grasp on it until I was about 13 or 14.
Oh, okay. And that's great. And then also, too, you were going through, you told me that you went to Awana. Or
yes.
You're going. Yeah.
Yes.
So I, for those of you that don't know me, I'm an Awana leader. I do. Basically, I'm one of those people, the volunteers that help, teach and help children with their verses. We do game time. We also do a story time. I can't stay for the whole thing, but that's all the stuff. And I still do Awana, and I even grew up in Awana as a kid. So it's one of those things too, where I have that experience from the perspective of being a teacher and a student, and so that's one of the things that that's great for me. But for you too, because you told me like you were great at football, fantastic, and that's how you were telling me too how the scriptures that you were learning help you when you were memorizing, and how that helped you with your football stats and things like combine prospects and what other
so when I was playing football, I mean, I would find scriptures to relate to situations that I'm having in practice, or situations about my playing time, or situations about how I'm going about certain techniques. And Romans was a great passage.
Like the Romans road.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Exactly.
Yep.
That was a fantastic passage that helped me a lot with football. But I just tried to draw from the scripture to see what I can. What is applicable to that situation.
And that's what we're here for. We're here. We're going to talk about not just teaching the Bible, but how we can apply it to our lives. And this is what we have done, and also me, and we'll get into all that later. But okay, great. So here you are now. You're at a stage where you're still you're trying your work schedule and what other kind of stuff you have going on.
Right.
And okay, so next question now. What would you say is your ideal partner? Just a few general overview things. And I'm not talking about physical looks, eye color, hair color. I'm talking about more
mentality,
personality. Oh no, that's actually one of the things too. We're talking about mindsets. So the first thing we'll get into that in a second. But what is your ideal partner?
Right off the bat, someone who's funny, someone who's smart. I do believe knowledge is power. The more you study about topics, the more interesting conversation you can have with the individual. And then other stuff that I look for is the mindset of not just talking about it, but being about it.
Oh, yeah, sure.
And it's always nice to have a good, strong person by your side who shares commonalities with you, but isn't so common to the point that you guys butt heads.
Oh yeah, sure. And you
want to find differences too early on, so that way you can one, work on those differences, two, take an interest in other people's interests, because make your partner happy. That's part of it. And then three, and finally, you want to show that you care about this person in a godly manner and in a humanly manner as well. You want to make sure that this person knows that they're cared for, and that anything that they would do for you, you do the same. So that's what I mean when I say people that don't talk about it, but they're about it.
Oh yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Okay. Next question.
Yes.
What is just a funny story of when you caught a female checking you out?
Okay, so this was back when I was a lot better looking.
Bald.
I'm going bald now. This is back probably when I was about 18 or 19, right before I started losing my hair.
Okay.
I went bowling one night with a few friends out in Puyallup, and I caught this girl. I'm not going to name names, but I caught her staring at me a couple of times. And I just kept asking her. I was like, hey, what's up? What's something wrong or whatever? Because I'm not thinking she's checking me out. I'm thinking I got something wrong about me.
Okay.
Yeah, so I'm not at all thinking that she's into me. And I never want to assume that someone is, because I just don't like that awkward situation. And I just assume people are nice. I don't ever think anyone's flirting with me. I just assume that they're just being nice.
Oh.
Yeah. So I'm oblivious to signals,
sure.
right? But no, she kept like trying to talk to me the entire night, and I engaged her in conversation a couple times. And then I was about to leave, and she goes, "Don't you want my number?" And I said, "Oh, yeah, I would like your number."
Well, of course I do. I thought you'd never ask.
I want your number. And she's like, "Why didn't you ask about it?" And I said, "Well, I just thought you were being nice to me."
Oh, sure. Okay.
So, yeah.
All right. Well, that is very interesting. Yeah, so, okay, I would say brief version of my testimony. Yeah, so I was born, November 1981, here in Seattle, where we are recording right now. And November 1981, raised in church since I was born. I've done pretty much all the church stuff that you can do as far as Awana, Vacation Bible School. I did other, missions trips. I've done, I'm even currently attending college classes right now as well. And I'll get into that later, but so I went through pretty much I went through private school education and all that. So I have a lot that I've learned, and I became a believer when I was 8, when I was as far as my age. And still, I grew up in a godly family. I had, great childhood actually, and it's I get to you growing up in school, doing all the typical childhood things that you do when you're growing up, and and just in general, I was pretty much I was the kid that how some kids are into music or sports. Music was my thing, and I've done all of the stuff you can do with worship teams, concert bands, jazz bands. I've even competed before and won, by the way. Not all of them, but some. And so I've done all that stuff. I currently play bass guitar. Oh, speaking of bass guitar, I was at Guitar Center.
Right.
About, I think 3 or 4 weeks ago. And I wasn't going there to really buy anything. I just wanted to play on one of the specific amps. They had this Fender 100-watt amp, which isn't that much power compared to other ones that were there, but I liked the sound.
Right.
And I was going there. I just wanted to play just for fun, not to even shop. And I go there and I'm playing, and they had this specific bass guitar that I want, but it's in 4 strings, and the one I want is in 5 strings.
Right.
And I was playing that guitar anyway, and I'm getting kind of towards the end of that, and I'm about ready to leave. So I play one last song, and I'm playing this jazz groove. I call it Flying Colors. It's just one of those jazz grooves when you get a couple dudes together who also play, and you're just it's just not really a chorus or a song. It's just one of those. You just kind of dance.
You're
to
just
it.
making a beat, pretty much.
Oh yeah,
you're making a beat.
So I played that at Guitar Center, and one of the employees was there walking by, and right after I get done playing, he says, like, "Man, it stink up in here, all that funk." But he's like one of those like, "Ugh, that sounds good up in here," anyway. And I started laughing. He's like, "Oh yes, thank you." But anyway, so that was that funny story. And yeah, so I don't have a lot of time to get into what my ideal partner is. But while I'm talking about that, I do want to mention a few brief scriptures. We don't have time to read them all, but my ideal partner, obviously, the first thing, I keep bumping into this mic. The first thing, yes, they have to be a Christ follower. We call it being equally yoked. 2 Corinthians 6:14, you can look it up. And not that I want, I actually do need somebody that's more extrovert, somebody, because I wouldn't say I'm a deep introvert, but I've grown, like, I used to be shy. I used to be, all the typical little kid things that you have, growing up, and you're shy or more quiet, or maybe some person is more loud. I was the shy kid, and I'm still, I've grown through a lot of things, and I'm one of those you wouldn't know, because I make people laugh. Like, you and I know people laugh at my jokes, and you would think, oh yeah, I'm super outgoing, I'm this, extrovert. No, I'm not. I'm complete introvert, completely. At least at heart. Not like I'm not one of these people where I'm, trying to be a loner or
right.
But I have no problem being by myself.
Right. And that's funny that you mention that, because I feel like when in dating, you have to learn how to be okay with yourself before you try to find a partner. You have to learn how to manage yourself, be okay with yourself, be able to like yourself, really.
Yeah.
Because if you don't like yourself, who's going to like you?
And then also, it's also too about, you have to also know yourself enough too.
Oh, absolutely.
To know what you even need in the first place in a partner. You know what I mean?
Right.
And so, yeah. So I need somebody, generally speaking, they don't necessarily need to be like the life of the party, or they got to be that one crazy girl that's always getting attention. It could be somebody that's just, they are just are like funny in nature. Like they just make people laugh.
Right.
That's definitely somebody of a more extroverted, they're just more lively. They're more talkative. And the talking is another separate thing. But, and we also wanted, and before I get into the other ideal partner, there was this one thing I needed to do actually, when it comes to kingdom spouse, when we're talking, because we're gonna talk about kingdom spouses.
Welcome to this edition of Another Time. For today's episode,
What's that? Oh. Yeah. Oh, thank you.
thank you for watching this edition of Another Time. Goodbye.
And we want to make this correlation what we are calling our kingdom spouse correlation. And one of the things that I when I was preparing this podcast for today, for the material, I wrote this thing down. So when I said, when looking for a partner through dating, it's important to recognize signs God is trying to give you when he is pointing someone out to you. The reason why people hesitate to believe in kingdom purpose towards their future marriage is because purpose demands responsibility. This responsibility demands that we make choices when facing the unknown. However, many people are unwilling to face this responsibility and usually settle for a counterfeit relationship, or a relationship that is based on convenience or fleeting attractions. When you get to the one where you're just one of these people that you're just out of one relationship and just quickly into the next one. Like there's no time to really, like, did we learn our lesson? But no, apparently we didn't. And
right.
Now here, and I continue to say how, as a result, a person will often reject their God-ordained soulmate because they don't have the capacity to see what was truly meant for them. So these are just, people that, unfortunately, it's like you wouldn't give a keys to a 10-year-old kid.
No.
For a car.
No.
Absolutely not.
Maybe.
And so if you don't have the capacity to handle what God's trying to give you, that's what we're going to be covering here in this, as far as our correlation is concerned, what we're talking about.
Right.
And so I continue to say how, while there is still a chance for God to pair such a couple together, there is also a chance that once a person finally realizes who God was trying to send, it may come in a time when it is too late. The fact of the matter is that the right relationship at the wrong time is still the wrong relationship unless two people are willing to recognize the signs and undergo the sanctification process, which we will cover in this podcast. So we're going to be talking about kingdom spouse, kingdom marriage. And when we say that, we're not talking about just compatibility. Because if we're talking about being compatible, yes, that is important, and we do need to be compatible.
Right.
But when it comes to kingdom spouses and kingdom purpose and kingdom marriage, there has to be a reason why, God in his wisdom decides that would be a great relationship.
Right.
And so that's what, when we're dating and we're looking for a partner, I keep wanting to bump into this mic. When we're looking for somebody, we want to have the right education to know enough about ourselves, first of all, and then know enough to know what we actually need.
Right.
And so, my ideal partner, don't laugh at that.
I didn't even make a face.
Well, that's because I'm the only one. Well, you were like funny percent. Like you were about to
I looked
laugh at
away
it.
from you.
You were about to laugh at that.
Yeah, I had to
you
look away
didn't,
from you.
But then you should have laughed at that anyway. So, sorry. Somebody who is modest, humble. I generally prefer somebody that's a little more assertive, but I'm not talking about like being aggressive. I'm talking about somebody. So my personality type is INTJ. It's known as the mastermind. If you're familiar with the Myers-Briggs personality types, so I'm INTJ. I would probably prefer somebody that's more ENTJ, which is basically me, but in the extrovert, and that's the distinction there. They have to be the more extrovert, and I'm the more introvert. So, and somebody that's, self-aware, smart, intelligent, and there's all kinds of intelligences. I'm not talking about just like book smarts. I'm talking about things like maybe they're a great painter, or they're great at sports, or maybe they're into acting, or whatever kind of art or talent that they're good at. That's an intelligence. And then they're someone intentional about their character development and can wisely control their own emotions. Those are just a few things. And so that's what I'm looking for. And there is you could say what we call a process going on right now, but I can't get into the details right now. So, but I think understandably why. So, so that's my ideal partner. Oh, I almost forgot. The funny story about when I caught somebody. And I have multiple stories. Like, okay, I know I'm good looking. It's not to brag. I mean, whatever. I mean, I catch women. I am a UPS driver. Okay, I am out in the public.
I guess women like a man in uniform. Is that?
Well, no. I mean, there was this one time. I was at my old church. I was volunteering for a women's conference.
Right.
And they needed volunteers. So I offered my services because that's what I do. I'm a volunteer. Like I do ministry leadership. So even if nobody asked me, I'm still going to volunteer.
Right.
If they still need me, but if they don't, whatever. So that's what I do. And at my old church, I'm volunteering for this women's conference.
Right.
And I'm just at one of the food tables. I think fruit or whatever's there. And I happen to glance up at whatever moment while I'm, serving the food, and I catch there was this group of women, just standing in a circle, just talking to each other.
Right.
And just when I happened to look over at them for whatever reason, I wasn't even trying to even look at them specifically, but I happened to look up and I caught one of them, like how they say stuff like, "Oh my gosh, that cute guy from the worship team is over there. Oh my," and they get and they feel very feminine because there's a cute guy over there.
I'd be very terrified of you if you were a woman, by the way.
No, but and just I caught somebody checking me out, and I it's like I'm not really trying to. I'm generally somebody I'm not really trying to look for that. But when I do catch somebody, it is kind of a confidence booster. I mean, and so I caught somebody, and they're all standing in a circle, just talking. There must be like, I don't know, 30 feet away. So enough where you can see them. You can't hear what they're really saying, but I know they're talking about me because they keep looking at me.
Right.
And there's this one thing I'll never forget. I know it was funny. Like I was just okay because I was curious and I was observing them, and I watched how they would all take turns to see me up close, or for whatever reason that they came up with, and I knew that I bet one of the questions that they're probably wondering about me is if I'm single or married or if I have a girlfriend or all those.
Right.
And so here to figure if they were talking about, here's what I did. So one of the women they came up to my table, and I had my watch. I was actually wearing a Rolex at the time. And what I did is right when I held my cup out, the fruit or whatever, I flipped my watch up like this. Or it was already up, but I flipped my more up. So and just when I did that, I just happened to glance at her really quick to look down to see like if I had a ring on my finger or what was I wearing, all this, and and when I saw that, I was like, oh my gosh, you gotta be kidding me. So I caught her, but I didn't say anything. But I mean, whatever. I mean, or maybe they're wondering what kind of cologne that I'm wearing, or maybe it's whatever they just want to know about. So anyway, no more about that. And I think you're giving me this look right now like, dude, are you gonna get to the topic already, or what do you anyways, yes, so we're talking about, we mentioned earlier about factors, so we're going to talk about 4 main factors. So
we're sorry that you had to watch our last not sponsored ad. If you braved this episode so far and you've been questioning your faith in your digestive system, then fear not. This video is not sponsored by Pepto-Bismol. Whether it was that lame dad joke or that gut-wrenching comment you made about fart jokes, Pepto-Bismol won't help you. However, if you feel like a bloated balloon animal after eating that taco from a food truck, Pepto-Bismol is the magical pink potion that will turn your stomach right side up. With just a sip, you'll be back to conquering the world, or at least your couch, in no time. Whether it's the aftermath of a questionable burrito or just a case of the uh-ohs, Pepto-Bismol is your trusty sidekick ready to rescue you from a case of the Hershey squirts. So why wait? Grab your bottle of Pepto-Bismol today and turn that gut grumble into a giggle.
The first factor is about mindsets, and this is where I had we're going to talk, so there's 3 main top types of mindset. So we have more of our alpha mindset, which is somebody who is, they're more assertive, they're more type, they're like I actually have like in our first example here, and I'll actually put a picture of this somewhere on the screen about it's called an accountability loop. And so when you have something happen, when you have going something intentions, this is somebody who's more alpha mindset, who recognizes, who owns, who forgives, self-examination, what can they learn from the experience, what can they do to get better. And then there's the beta mindsets, which are the people that they ignore the problem, deny, shift blame to something else. They try to rationalize and they never learn. These people that are, I'm not to sound rude or whatever, but people who just have whatever maturity issues that they got going on.
Right.
And then there's also the third type, which is what we are calling our gamma mindset. These are the people that they generally want to get better, I think, or I feel like. Because they want to get better, like they will have, maybe they'll change their habits. There are these people that they're generally trying to, in the learning process. Because everybody starts out as a beta. When you're born, you're growing up, you're a kid. Okay, you don't know how to do everything right. And so, but there's people today that never grow out of that, or maybe they have no intention. I don't know what it could be, anything.
Right.
So when we talk about mindsets, we need to be able to recognize somebody, figure out what type of mindset does this potential partner have at where they're at in their life right now. Because I can tell you right now, there is a difference. You'll be able to tell the difference right away. And I notice, you know, and when it comes to dating relationships, and you can relate to this a lot, how when you're talking about somebody, how you date who you are,
Right.
know, like who you are is not necessarily all the stuff about like if that other person cheats, that somehow makes you a cheater. That's not what I mean.
No.
I'm talking about the kinds of people that people will date like them.
Yeah, you attract what you are.
Yeah. And so when it comes to mindsets, we want to be able to see, okay, where is this person in their, you know, it could be any kind of growth, their mental growth, their spiritual growth, physical, whatever. And we're going to get into that which is another one of our factors later, talking about the Maslow's hierarchy of needs. These are, you know, your typical needs about, you know, food and water and shelter, and there's a whole list of things. But for now, we're going to get to that in a little bit. But so we're talking about our beta and meta, and there's also our gamma mindset. So there's stuff in between, and so I'm going to just read what I have here about how alpha mindsets is, you know, somebody has strong leadership qualities, confidence, assertive, decisive, you know, they have other, you know, negative sides too, but these are just a few of the more positive ones. And then so a beta mindset person, for instance, is the complete opposite of that. I mean, just, you know, and there's all kinds of stuff about, you know, and it's different for every person, like everybody, you know, how has their own stuff where they grew up, like, and then so somebody can be, for instance, somebody can be an alpha mindset, but the reason why we're calling this a factor is because, for instance, in business, let's say somebody is great at business, they make a lot of money or whatever, but they can still be a complete asshole in their character. They can still be a jerk, you know, they can still be mean, rude, arrogant, narcissistic, all the things. So when we talk about mindsets as a factor, we need to factor in other qualities that we need to look for when it comes to potentially dating somebody to marry and later on.
Right.
And so, and then I talked about the accountability loop. And then we also have our in between, which is the gamma mindset. So those are the people that are in between. And I can remember at a time for me when I was, I would say right around the time when I lost my car. I think that was around 2013. I had another Ford Mustang GT that I drove, and I only had it for about a year. The payments got too expensive, and I was not financially stable at the time. And so, you know, I was growing up in that, and I was, you know, you come to a certain season in your life when, you know, you grow and you really apply the Bible to your life situations and how you're going through that. And when it comes to mindsets too, we also, you know, need to realize, okay, what are the types of personalities that go with those mindsets?
Right.
So we're going to talk about, that is a bass guitar video. That is the wrong one. So personality types is we have A, B, C, and D.
Right.
I would say I'm more type A. Like and we're going to put a picture of this on the screen somewhere. So I would say I'm more type A. What would you say?
I'm more quiet, laid back, and reserved. So I would say like a.
Oh no! This is because that's part of it. But as far as like,
well, I don't
type
know what
A,
that would fall under.
So somebody
for your
type
chart.
A, it says here, controlling, goal-oriented, pragmatic, entrepreneurial, ambitious.
Right.
You know, and then somebody who's type B is outgoing, relationship building, enthusiastic, and there's different parts about that. And We don't have a lot of time to go into all the different types, but those are just some of the types.
Right.
Too. And then so that was our second factor. So the first factor was about mindsets. Second factor about personality types. Then we have our third factor about nature versus nurture. And I actually brought my psychology book here. Let me just turn to this. I should have had this ready to go. Sorry, folks. Okay. I actually have it right here. Okay. Sorry, I lost my place. So nature versus nurture. So your nature. So for instance, your nature is your genetics, like your hair color, eye color, your nationality, who your parents are, what you're born with, all that stuff. That's all nature. Nurture has to do with your social development, your your life situations, growing up through society, going through education, dealing, stuff you go with in your childhood,
right,
like that. So that's all nurture. And the other thing that I wanted to bring up really quick, I wish we had more time to get into this, but I want to talk about the Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Now, so that was our third factor, nature versus nurture. The fourth factor here is you need to be able to figure out where somebody is at, just in general, not for every aspect, for in general in their life, where they are in this hierarchy of needs made by Abraham Maslow in 1970, I believe.
Right.
And we'll put a reference in the description. But these are different needs. So the first need, now this is the psychological needs. Now we're talking about the people that need the food, the water, the shelter.
Right.
Then we also have our safety needs, personal security, employment, resources, all that stuff. Then we have our main need that we're focusing on is about love and belonging, where they are in their relationships. What do they need, but what do they actually need? Like, not necessarily what they want. You know what I mean? And so there's whole stuff about that.
Right.
And then also where they are in their esteem needs, their respect, self-esteem, their status, recognition, And then there's the last and final part about self-actualization, is where you've reached the fullest potential that you've been wanting to. And then there was also a seventh one too that Abraham Maslow did about transcendent needs, is like wanting this idea or this notion of needing to want to help others,
right,
or needing to, anyway. And I can't remember what the name of that was, but so we don't have a lot of time to figure out where somebody is, in their mindset, what your personality type is, and then learn the kinds of, where somebody you needs personality type is. Nature versus nurture, that's our third factor. And then the hierarchy of needs is our last and final one. Now we want to talk about, and we don't have time to read all these, but we have, so we have to look at the first relationship in Genesis 2:20 through 24. This is, in the beginning, God made Adam and Eve, and the two became one flesh, and, but sin happened, and here's everything else, and here's what we got to learn to try to help us where we're at. But we're also talking about mixing this in with the gospel as well, and then we're, Proverbs 18:22, he who finds a wife and finds a good thing. And Matthew 19, how Jesus said how what God has put together, let man not separate. So marriage is made by God, like he designed it himself. And so when we study it, and we're going to focus mainly, and this is the main, actually, if you can look up on your Ephesians 5. Now we're going to talk about the Apostle Paul, and I don't think we have time to read the whole thing. We're just going to give the quick version of this. So the book of Ephesians was written by the Apostle Paul right around AD 60 to 62. And this was written during the time of in Acts 28, 16 through 31, when he was in Roman prison under Roman guard for 2 years, I think it was. So somewhere in there, he wrote this book. And what's funny is no, it's not funny, but this church that he's writing to in Revelation 2, 1-7, about the loveless church. And this was the church that was supposed to be all about love. And the topic of, the whole premise behind our conversation, or one of the aspects, is love. And so Paul is writing to the Ephesians about love, and if you can start actually, he's also he's teaching about, I can't talk today. Wives submitting to your husbands, husbands loving your wives, the whole thing, and go. So if you could read for me, Ephesians, if you pull up Ephesians 5, and I think it might actually. Oh no! Oh, here we go. And just start reading from verse 21. And I should...
Verse 21?
Yeah, and I'm going to pull it up myself here so I know. But yeah, go ahead, if you can read that for me.
Submitting to one another out of reverence for Christ. Wives, submit to your own husbands as to the Lord, for the husband is the head of the wife, even as Christ is in the head of the church. His body and is himself its Savior. Now, as the church submits to Christ, so also wives should submit in everything to their husbands. Husbands, love your wives as Christ loved the church and gave himself up for her, that he might sanctify her, having cleansed her by the washing of water with the word, so that he might present the church to himself in splendor, without spot or wrinkle or any such thing, that she might be holy and without blemish. In the same way...
Oh, sorry, I thought you were done. Go ahead.
In the same way, husbands should love their wives as their own bodies. He who loves his wife loves himself.
Yeah, and the other script, we don't have time to read it, but the other that aspect I wanted to add about that is how... if husbands don't love their wives, this will actually be the thing that hinders their prayers. And it'd be a real shame if a husband's not loving his wife and he's trying to pray for a breakthrough and he's not getting an answer and he actually wonders why. Because, maybe, I don't know, it could be anything. Maybe he's not meeting her emotional needs or whatever her wife needs from him, but he's not giving it to her for whatever reason. And we're not going to really get into that, but husbands need to love their wives, and that's what 1 Peter 3:1-7 talks about. So, unfortunately, we really don't have a whole lot of stuff to really go through. I would say marriage is definitely God's idea. He designed it himself, and through dating, if you go back, we talked about some of the factors that you could factor into your education when you're trying to find a partner. And so if you guys have any other Bible questions, you can also comment, let us know in the comments, other ideas for topics if you guys want to hear about. It could be anything. It could be, you could maybe even comment what you had for breakfast this morning. I mean, I don't know why. I mean, we'd still laugh at that, but you could comment that if you want to.
I can't guarantee it'll make me laugh.
It'll make me laugh.
It'll make you laugh for sure.
I will not only laugh at it, I will be the specific person that will put a heart next to that exact comment of somebody who can tell me in the comments what they ate for breakfast this morning, and that can be tomorrow's food suggestion.
Right, and I will say this now: if you post something bizarre in the comments, I'll see it. Make it funny,
and make it.
It's really hard to make me laugh
somehow.
It's really hard to make me laugh.
Oh, dude. Okay, well, we gotta go. I would say, if you guys have any prayer requests, anything like that, let us know. And then we're also working on other social media, things like that too. And before we leave, I just wanted to read Numbers 6:24-26. Now, this is called the blessing of Aaron, or the Aaronic blessing. May the Lord bless you and keep you. Let the Lord make his face shine upon you and be gracious to you. The Lord turn his face or his countenance towards you and give you peace. So That's what we wanted to give you guys.
Awesome.
It's all right. All right. We'll see you guys next time.
Bye.